Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining this webcast. My name is Yigal Behar. I'm the founder of 2Secure Corp. We specialize in helping business owners and managers get them secured from cyber attacks. Today, I'm going to share with you knowledge that could a little save you money, time, and reputation damages. Now, I know that you are likely on this webcast because you're concerned about protecting your data from vast and growing number of cyber threats that are out there today, be it the ransomware, like the recent WannaCry, RAG employees, regulatory compliance, and any other issues that you may have, like servers can be down for days or weeks. And you want to help your business to be safe. Okay, so today we'll cover the following items. But we're going to talk about why antivirus solutions and firewalls are not sufficient anymore when it comes to sophisticated cyber attacks. And as you may know and hear on the news, this is a growing issue, and what you have right now, it's definitely not sufficient to fend those attacks, and we'll discover those key points. We're going to discuss how really security works. It's important to know how security works because it's going to help you to understand what is missing in your cybersecurity program. And the last thing is to know what are the trends out there. If you know the trends, you'll be able to prepare before a cyber attacks hit you, so you'll be in a better place. And ultimately, we want to make sure that you won't be like a sitting duck, because if you don't do anything, you don't have a cybersecurity program, you are like a sitting duck. All your information is out there and just waiting for a disaster to come and grab your data. So today, I'm planning to give some free stuff since you joined this webinar. This is the policy, information technology and access control use policy. You're gonna need to change your name here and let your employees sign the second page and do this every year. So they will know what to do and specifically not what to do. This is a very important piece, and this is 500 value. Normally we charge $500 to develop this kind of policy. You'll get it free to give you a kickstart and something to get to know and use in your cybersecurity program. The second is my self-published book. It's on Amazon. You can either go on Amazon and buy it, but since you join this webinar, you will get this free of charge. And you need to wait until the end of this webcast in order to get the details how to get this free stuff that we are giving out today. And I'm sure many of you here are already asking, okay, who is this guy? I never heard from him. I don't know anything about him. So my name is Yigal Behar, as I said. I have experience working in Avnet Deloitte in Israel for 4 years. We're giving services to different customers from government and agencies and private companies, from the Prime Minister Office, Social Security Administration, and other companies in Israel. I learned that a lot when it comes to protecting big organization enterprises. And when I came to America, I decided to use that knowledge and tools that I've learned and take those and use them for the small business owners and managers. So make it available to you guys to use and be in a better security posture. So today I want to discuss with you how the cybercrime actually evolved. In the old days, it was only affecting few people, maybe 30 people, 50 people, as you can see in this picture. And the impact was really small. It wasn't so big as of today. As you can see in this map, you see millions of records were exposed to the internet some information like social security numbers, date of birth, and other pieces of information that are very useful for hackers. In this case, we see Equifax. We're going to talk about the Equifax data breach and what happened there, because from that, from this case, we'll be able to know what to do and what to avoid from a cyber attack. So let's move to the next slide. With this slide, I want to bring some key points, and then we'll discuss some of the outcomes of this data breach. So what happened in this data breach, in this timeline, as you can see, in the beginning of February, Apache Foundation, Apache is a web server that serves web pages, and they discovered a vulnerability that caused a framework called Stroud's framework to have some sort of vulnerability. That vulnerability allowed those attackers to get and infiltrate to Equifax databases and sift all the data. 44% of US population was sifted through this data breach. In the beginning of March, the Apache Foundation released the advisory, and then a few days later, they released a patch for this vulnerability. And then after the fact, after the forensics analysis and it was done by the Equifax data system, they found that the information actually was breached. The data was breached actually in the beginning, about mid-May. Okay, and then it took them, Equifax took them 2.5 months to discover this. So this is the timeline. This is by the end of August, they were able to detect the breach. So it took them 2.5 months to discover the data breach. This is a long time to cause a lot of damage, and it's interesting to see that the later information was released, and I updated in the next slide. We'll be able to see that what information was actually exposed in that data breach. Now, let's talk about the outcomes of this data breach. The outcomes were the CEO had to retire, and the CIO, Chief Information Officer, the person who was responsible for the IT system, had to retire. The CISO had to retire, the Chief Information Security Officer that responsible for the cybersecurity had to retire. Not only that, the Equifax stock has plummeted 35%. The estimated cost to remediate this data breach is about between 200 to up to 300 million, and I'm sure this will grow as we during the time. Now, this data breach, and I want to make 2 points here. They had to first to patch the systems, and they had to have a better detection system. We'll talk about this when it comes to the exercise that I have. If you haven't done so, please download the worksheet. I emailed you the link. You can go and download the worksheet, so we'll be able to do that with you. Okay, so let's see what was stolen in this data breach. As you can see this picture, this was updated recently. They lost about 145 million people, US citizens, UK and Canada. As you can see, passport information, social security numbers, everything that is needed for hackers to continue and do identity theft attacks against those people that information was released. And in the end of the day, that information is, this information lost caused Equifax to lose a lot of money in terms of fines and also reputational damages. Now, I know that a lot of you say, okay, we are a small company, we don't have anything to lose, but this is exactly the opposite. And this is a research that was done by Poneman Institution. They are specialized in cybersecurity research and information. And they did this research, and they found that 55% of people who was on this research suffered cyber attacks, and 50% had their data breached. Now, another piece of discovery here that 14% of those companies can really say that they can detect and remediate data breaches. What happened with the other 86%, right? This is it's a huge number. So now, is there something to do? Is there an issue? Yes, there is an issue. Now, I want to bring another piece of information that I just collected, and this is a recent research that I did. And now, as of September 2016, the Justice Department reported more than 4,000 ransomware attacks daily since January 1st, 2016. This is a 300% increase over the approximately 1,000 attacks per day seen in 2015. I think this is a real threat, and I hope you think the same. Now, I took all those pieces of information and continued my research, and what are the chances of getting a ransomware? And it's about anywhere between 47% to 71% chances of getting a ransomware. Most of the people that we discussed with them, they were hit by ransomware. So it's a real problem. So now we're coming to our exercise. Please open the worksheet that I sent you, and we're gonna do some exercise. We wanna explore how security works, and you're gonna need to have a pen, or you can type it to your computer so you can save it, and we're gonna use it later on. Okay. So now there's 3 questions in this worksheet. I hope this is open in front of you, and I'm gonna spell it out. So what are the 3 questions? The first question is, what are you trying to protect? Meaning, what kind of information are you storing on your computers? Can be credit card information, can be social security numbers. You need to know exactly what are you trying to protect? What are you processing and saving on your computers? Second question is, what are the relevant threats? Meaning, is it a ransomware, as we discussed a minute ago? Or you have a list that has a IP information, any kinds of business secrets that you are looking to protect. You need to know exactly what are the relevant threats to the information that you are processing. The third question is, again, this is interesting because it relates also to what we just discussed about the Equifax. How comfortable are you with your system's ability to detect and respond to recognized threat before data is compromised? And this is important. 99% of people that we speak with them, they say we don't have any visibility. We don't know if something will happen. If someone will touch their files, they won't know anything about it. So now you have the 3 questions. I'm going to repeat it for a second for you. What are you trying to protect? What are the relevant threats? And how comfortable are you with your system's ability to detect and respond to a recognized threat before the data is compromised? So this is the first exercise. Now, the second part of our worksheet, as you can see, I listed there, you need to list as much as you can and whatever comes to your mind. How are you going to protect your house? So, for instance, it can be doors, locks, and so forth, windows, whatever. Just list everything that comes up. I'll give it 1 minute for you to write it down. And while I'll give you the time to write this down on the worksheet, you can ask any question during this session, either open your microphone or type it in the chat box. If you want to speak, you need to unmute yourself, the microphone, or you can always type it in the chat box. And after we're done, we'll compare your notes with my notes, and then we'll discuss. I'll show you the secret. It's revealing.
How do you identify a breach, and can you come back from ransomware?
Okay, so the question is, how can you detect a breach and how can you recover from a ransomware, right? So I'll answer you. The recovery from ransomware, you need to have one of the pieces that can help you to recover from a ransomware is to have a good backup system. Okay, you need to make sure that the backups are done as often as possible. Now, there is different limitations. If you have a lot of data, it's going to take maybe a long time. And then you need to have a certain backup scheme. So let's say you have a full backup on a weekly basis, and then every day you have either incremental backups or decremental backups. It depends, because it did different aspects, how you recover the data, how long it's going to take you to recover the data. This is another, what is the, how long can you allow yourself to be out of business, okay? So the first thing is to have a good backup system. The second thing is to have user training, training your employees how to recognize, we will see that next in the coming slides, how to spot a phishing email. Okay, so you have training, you need to have user training. The last item is to have a good endpoint solution that will help you to detect these kind of things, detecting anomalies and specifically things that are going wrong with your file system or with your computers. So it's kind of a combination of tools and procedures that you need to have in place in order to prevent a ransomware or data breach in general. Any other questions or concerns if you want to ask? Okay, so let's continue with our exercise. Let's compare the notes. So this is my notes. Hopefully you listed some of the things that I listed here. And the way I listed, I grouped it in a certain way, and we'll show you the secret soon. So now, you have the defense, of course, you have the doors, locks, and windows, and fence, discover. So now, if somebody opened the door, was able to open the door because it was able to unbreak your lock, now is inside your house, would you able to discover it, right, without causing too much damage? And then, of course, remediation. So do you have a dog? Maybe your dog can be something as discovery, but also remediation, because it can hold the intruder. Now, I have a question for you, and I would like to hear your answer. What is the critical number here? So it's 1, 2, 3. What is the column that is critical to your security? Let's see what you say. Either type it in the chat box or say it.
2.
Okay, somebody said 2, some said 1. Any answers? Okay, 90% say that the first one is the critical, and I understand, because you're thinking from this perspective. Say, okay, I need to have locks, but you have already a lot of locks. Now, adding another locks would help you, maybe, but I guess you need something else. So let's take a look at the next slide, and then and a lot of people making the same mistake, even people that are considered to be good in security and IT making the same mistakes. And this is because you think in a certain way, ignoring the other possibilities. So let's take a look at the next slide. So here's the next slide, and this is the equivalent to the digital security. So in the defense, I have firewalls, I have spam filters, I have antivirus, right? I have all those things already, yet those are not preventing data breaches. Because again, I have the locks. Once I was able to breach your locks, I'm in your organization. Now, what would be able to allow me to detect it or spot that intrusion, right? Think about Equifax. It took them 2.5 months to discover it. Not to mention that they had firewalls and they had other tools in the organization, and yet they won't be able to find this breach, and actually it took them 1 day to do the remediation. So this is the case where everybody makes this mistake, and it's okay, no problem. This is why we have this exercise, and we're going to take those pieces as we discuss, and we'll look at the later slides, how we're going to use this information. Okay, so Next slide. Now, I want to talk about the threat landscape, cybersecurity trends, okay? And this is important, as I stated in the beginning of this webcast, is to understand what kind of threats are out there, okay? So now, we're talking about malware. Malware is a malicious software that can, once it's installed on a computer, can do many things. Can allow key logging, so whatever you type on the keyboard, will be able to save it in a file and send it out there. Or can take computer pictures and send them out there. Or can open the microphone or camera and listen and do and show to the hacker whatever you're doing on the computer. So this is a major threat. Now within that malware, we have the ransomware, because it allows the attacker to encrypt information, but also it has also some leftovers, I would say. So if you remove the ransomware, you'll still left over with a malicious software that will be able to spy on you. Now, we see the trend the past five years. So every year we have about an increase of 100 million different types of malwares. And this is only from AVSAT. This is only one antivirus software company. And this is, as you see, it's linear, but it's exponential, right? Now, based on the research that I did recently, you have new malware, pieces of malware, 274,000 new pieces of malware every day. This is a lot. And I'm going to take you to the next slide. And this comes from Webroot. Webroot is the AV solution, antivirus solution. And this is what they say. They say 94% of all malware is unique to the single endpoint. So now, traditional signatures are useless. So here's the explanation, how AV works. AV works in a way that once the company finds a threat, they will develop the antidote. They will generate a signature, and that signature will send to each endpoint. Now, it takes time to develop this signature, and it takes more time also to spread it all over all the entire endpoint. So it takes time. Now, it's enough one click that you get on the email, for instance, if it's a phishing, right? If it's a phishing through email, or if you get it as a link on email, or maybe you get it a link on social media. So one click, and you got this malware on your computer, and the endpoint won't be able to recognize it because there's no signature, so there's no detection, right? So there's no remediation, no detection. End of story. 90% of successful data breaches caused by user error. And this is actually related to the ransomware attacks. If you don't train, this is related to Sami's question earlier, that when you want to prevent a ransomware, for instance, as this was your question, you need to train your employees. And one of the things is to let them know that you have this policy and they need to know what to do, and specifically not what to do. And you need to train them besides them signing on this document. So we'll start with the ransomware, and this is related to user training, right? In this email, as you can see, it says FedEx package, right? And then how you can spot it, if you look at the email and the domain after the @ you see it's not coming from FedEx. So you know right away it's a phishing attack. There's attachment. FedEx won't send you, UPS won't send you any attachment. They're going to send you an email update about the status of the delivery of the package. They're not going to send you an email with an attachment. It doesn't happen. Now, after you open the attachment, this is what's behind that zip file. You have a JavaScript. Now, this JavaScript doesn't need special software. It just needs the web browser just to render itself. Once it executes, it will download more malicious software that needed in order to continue the attack. Now, this is a GUI, graphic user interface of WannaCry. It gives you the instructions. Just for you to know how to spot a ransomware, for instance. So it tells the person, the user, okay, you have the time to buy Bitcoins and send it to us. This is for you to know. The next threat, it's called miner malware. Now, miner is the software, malicious software that basically uses your computer CPU cycles and memory to generate Bitcoins, cryptocurrency. So now they are shifting, instead of using ransomware, they are shifting to different venues. They are using your computer as a resource to generate Bitcoins. Now, what happened to your computer? Becomes very slow, right? Then you cannot operate, you cannot do anything. We can do other things, but in this case, it does cryptocurrency mining. Now, in the next slide, this is interesting. This is even a better way how to mine Bitcoins or cryptocurrency is to use your web browser. Now, the bad news is it doesn't need any software installation. You just visit the website and you get your computer to mine cryptocurrency. How you can detect it? If you see the CPU utilization, very high, memory is also getting very high, you'll see spikes of the computer, and the fan of the computer, the CPU fan, will spin like crazy because they're trying to cool down the CPU because it's getting warm, because it's been used for calculation in order to generate the cryptocurrency blocks. The next danger is IoT. I don't know how many of you heard about IoT. It's called Internet of Things. Now, Internet of Things this definition stands for many devices that you may have, or maybe you have, but you don't know it's IoT. Like a Nest Cam, it's IoT. Network printer, it's IoT. Camera that uses IP access, it's called also IoT. Also, other implementation is like toaster, refrigerator, smart car. Smart car was also built a few months ago. I don't know if you've seen that. Smart cities is also implementation of IoT. Real quick? I'm sorry?
Can we go back to one thing real quick?
Yes.
So, speaking from somebody who's been hacked, how do I, and I know they were still in my system, how do I know that they're definitely out of my system?
Okay, so the question is, how do you know definitely that they're out of your system?
Yes.
Okay. This is a problem to find if they are out of your system. What you're going to need to know is to have network analytics, looking at different communication from different endpoints on your computer network, and to see where they are going, what kind of information they may carry. Now, most cases, the information will be encrypted, so you won't be able to see what exactly they are stealing or sending. In some cases, you can prevent it if the destination is already known as an attacker, right? Not always, and what you're going to need to have some sort of endpoint detection that will give you analytics about what's going on in terms of activity on the computer, what kind of memory manipulation you have, different things like that. It's not a simple answer. It requires a little bit more investigation and probably doing some forensics on the computer itself in order to see if there is other other activities that normal tools won't be able to see. Any other questions? Okay, so we'll continue next. So now probably already asking what the question is, what can we do about this? How can we protect ourselves? And comes to Sammy's questions again. And we already touched some of it with the exercise to know how security works. So now you know where are you, what is the starting point and where we want to be, right? This is a journey. We'll talk about it next. So first, we need to get serious about the cybersecurity, and of course, you came here because you're serious and you want to do a better job than Equifax, for instance, right? You want to make sure that the information that you're storing is safe, or at least reduce the impact of a data breach. So what we need to have a cybersecurity program. This is the title of the answer that everybody is looking. We need to have a cybersecurity program. So some of you probably have something already in place. Maybe you're thinking to implement some of the stuff. The policy in the book that I'm going to mail you, it's going to be one of the ways how to get started and have a cybersecurity program. So how will a cybersecurity program look like? Okay, we need to have what is called risk assessment. Now, what is a risk assessment? Risk assessment, it comes and evaluates what you have currently. So most of you probably will have some sort of endpoint protection, maybe Symantec, maybe you'll have McAfee, maybe you'll have any kind of those kind of solution, traditional solutions. As we said, signatures-based solutions. And those cannot do anything anymore. The second piece is probably you have a firewall. Maybe that firewall is a few years old already, and it doesn't keep up with the recent changes. Also, you may have a firewall that is misconfigured. Most cases, 90% of cases where we do a security assessment, we find that the firewall is misconfigured, and it always, all the time. So how a risk assessment looks like, right? So you need to have a way to evaluate all the cloud applications, how you generate information, and where is that information is being saved. And again, we talked about this in the exercise. If you remember the 3 questions, the input from those 3 questions will go inside the risk assessment. It's very important to know what are you trying to protect, what kind of information do you have, and if you have the ability to detect a data breach, or at least to recognize a threat. So once we discovered what are the vulnerabilities, what is out there, what are the relevant risks, now we want to have a plan. So the plan, we know where we are, we're point A, but we want to get to point E, for instance. So now we are now going over through different steps, and this is a remediation plan. Okay, so maybe we need to replace the firewall, maybe we need just to reconfigure the firewall. So a risk assessment will tell us what needs to be done, and the plan will just to execute the plan. The third step is ongoing. So now, after we have done the risk assessment, we have a remediation plan, now we need to have a maintenance program. You cannot, cybersecurity, it's not a start and finish. You start, but then you need to go and have a cycle. So every time there's a new threat, okay, or there is a regulation. So for instance, if you're collecting credit card, you need to be compliant with PCI compliance, for instance. And PCI requires evaluation of your cybersecurity and to do risk assessment and do penetration testing on vulnerability assessment and so forth. And having encryption, there's the different things in that regulation. And you cannot start and forget about the cybersecurity. It's something that will keep changing, and you need to be ready when those attacks, threats are coming and emerging. So you need to update your cybersecurity program. So I know that everybody is unique. You have a different system. You have different policies and procedures. You have different amount of employees. The systems are different, and you have maybe different threats. So we cannot take one solution and fit it to everybody. We're going to need to see what you have and have a plan. So you can register by the end of this session. You'll be able to register for a free consultation. We'll have a preliminary phone call to understand where you are in terms of your cybersecurity program, what you have done, size of company, what kind of tools you have right now, if you're using any tools. And then we'll conduct a preliminary research about your company, and 90% of people that we did a preliminary research, we found leaked data about their business, such as username and password, social security numbers, and financial information out there that they're just waiting for somebody to pay for it and use against you. The last item is meet you either face-to-face or another phone call and discuss whatever we found and see if we really can help you. Maybe you are in great shape and you don't need to do anything. Maybe there's certain pieces that are missing and we're gonna able to articulate those pieces that are missing and help you to get there. So I can work only with the first 4 companies that will sign up. There's no obligation to buy and do anything. You're not obligated to do anything with us. We can have just the phone calls, and then you can decide if you want to work with us or not. And I want to make sure that really I can help you guys. I don't want to put you into waste your time or money. I want to make sure that whatever we're going to go through, we'll be able to help you. So now we're coming to the end of this webinar. We're a little bit ahead of time. You have for a few minutes. You can either go and register using the contact us form and register for the free consultation, and also to get the policy and the book. I'm going to need your mailing address, so my office will be able to mail the books over to you. And I'll give you some time to ask any questions if you have.
So without, and I know this is going to be a very broad question, what is the cost of protection and the most general way of speaking? For instance, somebody who has a system set up that's mediocre at best, what would be the cost to set up the protective firewalls, all of those things?
Well, the cost is really how to determine. We're going to need to go over a conversation with you to understand really what is your specific scenario, because it can take it, and again, it depends on the size of the company, right? If it's a small company, so it's going to take less time. If it's going to be a bigger company, it's complicated. I mean, not to say that small business, they don't have a complicated systems. It's just to say that everything is a little bit complicated. So we're going to need to go over the conversation and understand exactly where you are and what you need to do. It can be an assessment, can take a day, can take a half day. Again, it depends. There's no definite answer for that. And also the cost will be determined by the scope of the work that needs to be done.
So, and I guess, I mean, I'm about to ask the same question again, but services like this, 10 employees or less, single location, we don't collect credit card information. All we need to do is just make sure that our data isn't sensitive, but we just need to make sure that, you know, what limited sensitivity we have is protected. And I'm just trying to figure out if I'm talking about hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, that kind of question.
Okay. Based on what you said, 10 employee, I think it's the estimate is going to take about a day. I don't think it's going to take more than that. The estimated cost can be about 1,500, something like that, with reporting as well, so you know what's going on and having a plan for you. Any other questions? Oh. Somebody is asking questions on the chat. Okay. instead of 26. By the way, this webcast is being recorded, so you can, it will be posted on our website, and you will be able to visit the website and take notes or replay the session again. Any other questions? Yes, we do work with companies that have 2 locations, of course. Why not? Any more questions? Please, I'm ready to answer any question you may have. We'll try at least to answer any question you may have. So I encourage you to sign up for the free consultation. We'll be able to deep dive to each and every one scenario and examine whatever you have in place. It's going to be eye-opening for you, whatever information we're able to discover. Every time that we do this research, we found information that people just open their eyes and don't understand how that information was leaked. One companies, we did the research for them, and we found that they have a malware actually installed on 2 workstations, and whatever they change in the passwords, that malware will be able to grab that information, because that malware has a keylogger that just pull that information and send it. So they're going to change password, keep changing password, and the hackers will know again the new password. So all those tools coming to help you to be better in your cybersecurity and prevent the next data breach. I think it's very important. Everyone that they see this information is just getting in shock. I really, truly encourage you to go over this process. Okay, so we are almost coming to the end of this webcast. It's 3:44. I'll keep my screen open, and I'm still here waiting for any answers, questions that you may have. You can also call. You have the number on my desk. Please feel free to call or email. I'm here to help. Okay, so we are in the end of the webinar. Now it's 3:45 p.m. Thank you for joining this webcast. I hope to see you again. Either submit the form or give me a call, email, anything can work, LinkedIn, whatever you want to use. Available. We're available here to help you getting things better in terms of your cybersecurity. Thank you.